Finding the center, vertices, and foci of an ellipse. Find the center, vertices, and the foci of the ellipse. Simplify your answers as much as possible. First thing I'm going to do is let's just draw a really rough sketch. Let's turn on our Google location, and let's put the center of this ellipse with a little blue dot or a little blue asterisk. And that is, of course, labeled 3, 1. And the major axis is always it's always twice the A value. And in this case, A is 5, and then B is 3. And the major axis is actually running horizontally because it's under the X values. So we're going to take this major axis and just draw it longer than the minor axis. So here's your rough sketch of the ellipse. Because it's stretched horizontally, you do have two focus points, or we say foci for plural. So right about there and there. You know, that would be one focus point and another focus point. Where are your vertices? Your vertices would be at the end of your major axis. Alright, we already have the center, so that's great. Why don't we write that down? Center is sort of the location of your ellipse, so it's going to be located at 3, 1. Now keep in mind, the center is never part of the ellipse, it just locates the ellipse. The black part here is actually the ellipse, right? The black part. We also need to find the vertices. Well, how do we find the vertices? We're going to go 5 units to the right from the center. So how can we write that? Vertices are going to be 3 plus or minus 5, 1. Now this is not preferred. It's better to separate the vertices so that you could see two ordered pairs. So let's say -2, 1 and 8, 1, and we put a comma right here. So that those green dots there are labeled -2, 1. I say -2, 1? Yes, -2, 1 and 8, 1. All right. Only thing left to find are the foci, or the two focus points. We do have an equation for that. So if you look at this, why don't we draw this part? There's a little triangle right here. And right there. Ah, gorgeous. So remember, this is the side A, and this is the side B. And I could still relabel this. Remember, that was the what? That was the center. A is always more than B, and to get the foci, the location of the foci, we follow this formula. We're going to use c squared is equal to a squared minus b squared. And in this case, the foci are running in the horizontal direction. So what would we write? You could think of the formula as 3 plus or minus c, 1, right? And where did I get that from? I remember you're finding the foci relative to the center. So that's why that location is very important. Obviously, c is defined to be what? Greater than 0. It's very important that you write this. C is defined to be greater than 0. A is 5. B is what? 3. So you know that A is greater than 0 and B is greater than 0. Now let's look at c squared. C squared is equal to 25 minus 9. Now we got 16. C squared is equal to 16. Square root of c squared, and then square root of 16. By definition of the square root of c squared, that's the absolute value of c. Absolute value of c is equal to 4. And if we do that, c must be what? Plus or minus 4. And we know c is greater than 0. Therefore, c is 4. We could now find our foci. Therefore, foci are what? 7, 1, and -1, 1. There you go. I'm going to circle all our final answers. The center, we need the center, that's what it asks for. We also need the vertices. I guess I could say are the vertices here. And the vertices of the major axis. So if it doesn't specify the axis, it's implied that you're finding the vertices of the major axis. Now, key work that needs to be shown. If you're solving this equation here, c squared equals 16, most people will show their work like this. And so I'm going to be looking for this work. That's going to be crucial. Don't ever change the steps for solving a quadratic equation of this form, right? You don't change the steps there. You know, if c squared equals 16, you know, you should be able to show plus or minus 4. There's other ways to show that. You don't want algebra to be miscommunicated from semester to semester. Algebra has been the same for hundreds of years. Right? I mean, you could see that this is another way to get what? C is equal to -4 or C is equal to 4. I skipped a step. There. That should make things clear. So there are many ways to show the algebra correctly. Make sure you do algebra correctly. After all, this is algebra.